Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Yo, we all made it, folks. It is 2021. 2020 has come, and it's done. Thank God. What a wild year it's been. From insane viruses to insane human versions of viruses. This year has thrown us many curveballs. One thing that this year has most certainly shown us, though, is that it's time for the predators to turn into the prey. And we saw that unfold right before our eyes in 2020. And for all of the bad that came with 2020, there was those glimmers of good. And Maxwell being arrested, Brunel being arrested, this investigation getting launched into orbit the way it has, those are good things, right? So, moving forward into this fantastic new year of 2021, I really hope that all of these victories for justice and for righting some terrible wrongs continue to build and continue to grow. Because I don't think there's any stopping this train for justice now that it has left the station. It's on its way to its destination. There's no stops. There's nobody getting off. There's only people getting on. And those people, well, their time is coming. And as we break the dawn of a new year, these people, the core four, the indikes, the cons of the world, they shouldn't be celebrating. They shouldn't be excited. They shouldn't be looking forward to what 2021 is going to bring. Because for them, this is about to be a terribly, terribly bad year. And Ghislaine Maxwell, this lady is living in a fantasy world. She is absurd to the highest degree. She truly believes that she should have access to what some of these girls are getting paid out of the Epstein estate. In particular, what Annie is being paid out of the Epstein estate. And it is absurd on any way you look at it. Ridiculous any way you look at it. Whatever you want to use to describe it, those are the words that you can use because it's that and more. Maxwell and her legal team have no right to know what sort of settlement Annie's getting from the estate. It's not your business, bipedal serpent. Don't worry about what's going on over at the estate. You're not part of it. You're not paying it out. It's not coming out of your pocket or Scott Borgerson's pocket, right? So shut up, bipedal serpent, and worry about your criminal case. You see, again, folks, what they're trying to do is slap technicalities around here. They're trying to make Annie look like it's all about a payday. And we talked about this on the Ask Me Anything the other night, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves. A payday? What other recourse is left to these women? Epstein's dead. He's gone. There's no bringing him back, no matter what L. Lynn Wood, that whack job-ass attorney for Donald Trump, has to say. Okay, Epstein's dead and gone. The only recourse left to these girls is to take whatever fortune he has left. And to all of the idiots out there that think it's about the money, well, you should probably reevaluate your own life because you're probably projecting a bit, okay? This is about justice. This is about righting what has been wronged. And that starts with compensation, okay? That's how this works. The civil portion of the trial, and there's a criminal portion of the trial. If anyone thinks that these girls should not chop up Epstein's fortune, well, I think that's a you problem and not a problem for the survivors or anyone else, because it's quite obvious that these girls are due reparations for the behavior of Epstein and his associates, and it's rather obvious that Ghislaine Maxwell and her legal team shouldn't have one single thing to say about it. Yet here she is, Ghislaine Maxwell and her legal team, continuously up to their old tricks. Right off of getting a punch to the mouth by Judge Nathan, right off of having her bail denied, this is what they fire off with. This is what they think is a winning strategy. And this, my friends, is why Ghislaine Maxwell, the Core Four, and their associates are all going to be facing big-time jail sentences, because they don't have innocence on their side. They don't have evidence on their side, okay? All they have are these technicalities to work off of. It's not Ghislaine didn't do this, oh, Ghislaine's innocent. It's any farmers looking to get a bunch of money out of this. She's evil, she's bad, it's all about the money. When in reality, we know that's not the case. We know this is about justice. And the money, that's just another slap to the face for the Epstein estate. That's just them recognizing that Epstein did do these horrible things that he's accused of. And for Maxwell and her team to try and get involved with that, to try and make Annie Farmer or any of these other girls provide documentation about what their payout was before Maxwell will let them drop a suit against her, a civil suit, by the way, that the compensation demands she drop is just ludicrous, all right? Absolutely ludicrous. And I saw some dumbasses on Twitter, right? There's like a group of like 4 dumbasses on Twitter, and these people actually believe that these civil cases by these girls are being dropped because they don't have a case or something. Talk about having cognitive dissonance. They're being dropped because that's a Let me explain it to you again, okay? For the 400th time, you dense idiots. It's being dropped because it's a parameter of the compensation fund, okay? The compensation fund says that you can't be suing any of Jeffrey Epstein's employees or associates or anything like that and receive compensation from the fund. That's it. That's all. So Ghislaine Maxwell should be happy that no one's trying to sue her right now at this point. She should be happy that she can focus on her criminal case. But that's not what's going on. And she understands that technicalities and muddying the water is the only way forward for her. So to the 4 chirping morons on Twitter that run around and inhabit threads and talk garbage and hatch weird ideas, well, you guys are morons, okay? Just, I don't know how, I can't put it any more gently than that. Absolute morons. These are the same people that think, like Prince Andrew's innocent and shit, right? Look, folks, there are some very odd people that inhabit Twitter. That's for sure. And there are a lot of loudmouths, or should we say loud fingertips, on Twitter as well. And people act like it represents the whole world, but in reality, it only represents the biggest mouths. So it's crazy to think that people would actually think that Ghislaine Maxwell is innocent, right? I mean, I get it, okay. I guess. I mean, if that's the mountaintop that you've decided that you want to die on, cool. But this strategy that she has here of trying to get the survivors, in particular Annie Farmer in this case, to turn over documentation about what her payout from the compensation fund was, is a losing strategy, a terrible idea, and a go nowhere proposition for Maxwell and your team. So let's jump into this article from ABC News, and let's see just exactly what sort of slimy, slithering strategy the bipedal serpent is attempting to hatch this time. This article is from abcnewsgo.com. Headline: Fresh off bail defeat, Ghislaine Maxwell claims alleged survivors motivated by money. This article was authored by James Hill. Let me be pretty clear, okay? I'm pretty sure that this isn't about money for Annie Farmer. Pretty sure about that, okay? And the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell and her team would attempt to paint it as such is highly offensive. We're talking about a girl who was very young when she was abused by Epstein and Maxwell, who was flown all the way out to New Mexico for it to happen. And now you're going to try and paint this girl as somebody who is looking for money after 24 years or so have gone by without her getting justice, and you believe that that's a winning strategy. Do the math. 24 years. That's how many years of pain and suffering you scumbags owe her. That's how many years of her life that she's had to think about what occurred at the hands of Maxwell and Epstein. And then you actually think that you're going to come up here, talk out of the side of your neck, jawbone, and think nobody's going to stand up and say, hey, hold on a minute, you people are ridiculous. Well, I guess I'm your Huckleberry, because you people are ridiculous. Annie or any of these other girls don't owe you people a damn thing. In fact, it's the other way around. Not only do you owe these girls financials, but how about an apology from the bipedal serpent? They can't even find it in themselves to do that. So politely, go F yourselves. You ain't getting access to nobody's documents. And you'll shut your yap and enjoy it. Because guess what, Ghislaine Maxwell? The narrative is no longer yours. Your lame-ass attorney, Laura Menninger, she ain't going to change things. Cohen ain't going to change things. Everdell isn't going to change things. And neither is Sternheim. The fact of the matter is this, Ghislaine. There's a mountain of evidence as high as Everest stacked against you. And all you have is technicalities. And all you can do is lash out like a cornered animal at the very people that you were accused of abusing. This might have worked in Palm Beach when Barry Krischer was on the case. This might have worked when Acosta was involved. But this shit ain't gonna work again. You can try and destroy these girls' reputations. You can try that route, and you can attempt to do that. But I'm here to tell you, this time around, nobody's buying it, okay? We all know who you are. You've all been unmasked, and we know for a fact, Ghislaine, that you truly are a bipedal serpent. So no, none of these girls should have to show you any documentation about their payouts. In fact, none of these girls should have to show you shit. This article was authored by James Hill. When Ghislaine Maxwell, the accused co-conspirator, general all-around scumbag, fellow child abuser and bipedal serpent of deceased sex offender, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, first appeared in court after her arrest in July, Annie Farmer spoke up to implore the judge to keep Maxwell behind bars until trial. She is a sexual predator who groomed and abused me and countless other children and young women, Farmer told the court. And when Annie said this stuff and she came forward and spoke up when Ghislaine was arrested, it was powerful stuff. I was listening in on the call, and I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of bravery to do something like this. I can't try and stress that point enough. And Annie epitomizes bravery. She is somebody who has stood tall under fire. She's somebody who has faced a ton of criticism, still to this day faces criticism from some corners. And, the 4 or 5 idiots I was talking about earlier on like Twitter and stuff like that. But for the most part, everybody recognizes the courage it takes to do something like this. To face these people down in open court, to come forward and to put yourself directly in the maelstrom. What do you think? Someone like Annie wanted to do that? That's something she was sitting around hoping for? Sitting around her table with her loved ones saying, oh, I can't wait to have a bunch of jerk-offs on Twitter talk trash about me. Or have these idiot reporters, camping outside of my house. Nobody wants that in their lives. I mean, hardly anybody. So, Ghislaine Maxwell and the rest of these people, they should be ashamed of themselves for this sort of strategy. The fact of the matter is, they can't challenge the allegations when it comes to evidence and merit. So what they'll try and do is demean and destroy. But we're on to them this time, and so is the rest of the world. 5 months later, when Maxwell returned to the court, armed with a new $28.5 million proposed bail package and more than a dozen letters of support from family and friends, Farmer, 41, again stepped forward to oppose Maxwell's pretrial release. And again, props to Annie. This is a girl who has steel in her spine. This is a girl who is fearless in the face of terrible evil. And this is somebody who is not going to take it anymore. This is somebody who has decided that she is going to fight back. And it's a beautiful thing to witness, in my opinion, when people who have been downtrodden, abused, taken advantage of by powerful people, when those people decide that they have had enough and they're going to fight back, it is a beautiful thing to withhold. I mean, it's something, right? When you see people take their power back from those who snatched it from them. And that's what Annie did here when she came forward the first time. And then when the bail came around the second time, she was also right there at the forefront to challenge it. I believe that she is a psychopath, Farmer wrote in a December 15th letter to U.S. District Judge Allison Nathan. She has demonstrated a complete failure to accept responsibility in any way for her actions and demonstrated a complete lack of remorse for her central role in procuring girls for Epstein to abuse. And that's pretty much the gist of it, right? All of the evidence that we have seen definitely points towards that direction. All of the first-hand allegations from Annie and other girls all point in that direction. So I don't see how anyone could defend Ghislaine Maxwell at this point. How anyone can act like this is a money grab. A money grab, what, four decades in the making for some people? 3 decades in the making for others? What's the compounded interest on that, folks? All of you geniuses out there who think this is a money grab. Why don't you do the math on it if you're capable? Now, just days after Nathan again rejected Maxwell's application for bail, Maxwell's legal team is lashing out at Farmer, publicly questioning her motivations and credibility, according to new court filings in Farmer's civil lawsuit against Maxwell and Epstein's estate. We knew this was coming. We saw the full court press on Virginia recently. And now they're trying to come after Annie. It failed miserably with Virginia. Those articles were challenged and picked apart piece by piece by myself and others. And now they're trying the same shit here with Annie. And this is a losing strategy right here. I'll just tell you straight up right now. You're going to be running into a whole lot of resistance from a guy like me if this is your strategy. If you think you're going to go scorched earth and act like the Romans when they sacked Carthage in this case, and treat these girls like that, and come out and publicly demean people like Annie, you're in for a long day, Ghislaine Maxwell and company. Because that sort of resistance will be met in the center of the octagon, and it will be challenged with extreme countershots, because it's absurd. All right, there's no more blaming. That the time for that is over. All right, the time for trying to pin it on these girls, the time for trying to make it out like they're prostitutes or that these girls had it coming, those days are over. That ship has sailed. That train has left the station. Now it's about owning up. Now it's about justice. And you're not going to silence Annie. You're not going to silence any of the rest of these girls. It is their turn. They have the microphone. It's like Lord of the Flies. It's their turn with the conch. And guess what, Ghislaine and company? There is not a damn thing you, your lapdogs, or anyone else can do about it. In what is likely a preview of a potential defense strategy for Maxwell's upcoming criminal trial, her lawyer suggested that Farmer's acceptance of a confidential settlement offer from a compensation program for Epstein survivors is indicative of a financial motivation for Farmer to make false assertions against Maxwell about events that allegedly occurred in the mid-1990s. So that's what they're setting it up as. They're calling Annie a liar. That's what they're doing here. They're saying that this never occurred. Annie's a liar, and this is all a money grab. Literally all of that is factually untrue. This is Annie, a scared, hurt little girl who is now turned into and morphed into a brave, ferocious woman, is taking back what was stolen from her. That's what this is about. Not a money grab, okay? And anyone thinking it is, we're gonna have words. I'll just be straight up honest with you at this point. This is a sick thing to say. This is a sick thing to think even. A money grab. What sort of moron thinks this is a money grab at this point? Sure is a long time to wait around for a money grab, isn't it? This is about what's right. This is about justice. And this is about Epstein being held liable, even in death, for his actions. The fact that Farmer seeks money from the estate and from Miss Maxwell in the millions of dollars, at the same time she is a government witness in an upcoming criminal trial on the same topic, is reason enough to suspect that her newly asserted memories of abuse, without corroboration, are not based on the truth or a desire for justice, so much as her desire for cash, Laura Menninger, Maxwell's lawyer, wrote in a letter to the court late Wednesday. Wait, Menninger, I thought you couldn't even find Ghislaine Maxwell when she was trying to get served. Sure seems you can find her all the time now, right? Oh yeah, that's right, because she's in prison where she belongs. How about that for your client? How about that to start off the new year? Bologna sandwiches, jumpsuits, flashlights in the face, the whole nine. Who's laughing now, Ghislaine? And this whole entire strategy, saying that this is a money grab from Annie, is laughable. I don't know how many times I need to reiterate that. But it is a joke, okay? No corroboration, really? No corroboration, huh? And saying that this is the first time Annie's spoken about this? Miss Menninger should get her facts straight. Miss Menninger should get her shit together. And Miss Menninger should probably find a new strategy to defend her client, because this is pathetic. And after this trial, I hope she understands that this stench is going to stick on her. You're going to victim shame and victim blame in your last ditch efforts to try and defend your piece of garbage bipedal serpent client. At the same time, you're going to demean and try and destroy Someone like Annie Farmer's reputation? Not gonna happen. Not here, not now, not this channel, not today. The motive for fabrication could not be clearer, the letter continued. Yeah, fabrication on your client's part. The motivation for your client wanting to lie, that couldn't be clearer, that's for sure. But what Annie's saying? Oh yeah, we know that's the truth. How many girls have been abused the same way? How many girls have come forward and corroborated that same exact scenario? So, Menninger, do yourself a favor, okay? Later on tonight, start a marathon of Better Call Saul and figure out a few better strategies, because the ones you're using right now, your client's going to end up in prison for 5,000 years. Farmer filed the civil lawsuit in November 2019, 8 months before Maxwell's arrest, alleging she was sexually trafficked at age 16 as part of Epstein and Maxwell's organized ring of procuring young women and girls for sex. So remember, this is 1996 now, okay? We're talking a long time ago. 26 years. 24 years ago, excuse me. 25 now, 2021. So this is a long time ago, folks. And Annie's been waiting all this time for the cash grab, huh? She's been biding her time, sitting around her table, rubbing her fingers together, just waiting for the cash grab. In reality, she's had to deal with all of this shit that occurred, all of the abuse that happened at the hands of Maxwell and Epstein. So again, I ask you, all you geniuses out there that think this is a cash grab, what's the compounded interest on all of those years? I'll let you work it out. During a 1996 visit to Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, Farmer claims Maxwell pressured her into receiving a massage and touched intimate parts of her body against her will, according to Farmer's complaint. Farmer placed her civil lawsuit on hold in June while she presented her claims to the Epstein's Survivors Compensation Program, a voluntary restitution fund that began operating earlier this year. And that's what she should have done, right? That's what was set up. That's why it was set up. What? They should set it up. They should have this set up and then the girl shouldn't use it because it'll be a cash grab then? Shut up. Just shut up. Come up with a different strategy, figure out how to defend your clients, and shut up with the bullshit, Menninger, Everdell, Cohen, Sternum. In October, Farmer accepted an offer from the program, which requires her to drop all pending litigation against the estate and any former employees of Epstein before she can collect. And again, I'm not saying that I agree with that parameter, but that's what they agreed to, the lawyers, the girls, the fund, etc., etc. So those are the laws of the land, and that's what has to be done. And for Maxwell's legal team to try and get in the way of that is childish and pedantic at best. Who wants to have somebody still sue them? Unless, of course, you're trying to be an asshole and slow down the payout process for Annie. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They want to slow it down. They don't want Annie to get paid out. They want to make Annie's life miserable. All because the bipedal serpent is sitting in that jail cell. Point blank, period. But Maxwell's legal team has objected to the dismissal of the lawsuit, demanding that Farmer first be required to disclose the amount of her settlement. Maxwell's letter to the court this week reiterates that demand, even though a judge told Maxwell's lawyers earlier this month that she would not order that information disclosed to Maxwell. And this is what they do, right? This is what Maxwell's legal team does over and over again. They continue to try and beat a dead horse. They continue to try and trot out beaten down arguments that the court has already rejected, and they try and repackage them as new. Thankfully, the court has seen through this, and the court has continuously busted them in the lip and told them to kick rocks. I don't see that changing this time around. The amount of money Farmer obtains from the Epstein program is very much a matter of public interest and will go to the very core of plaintiffs' credibility during the upcoming criminal trial, Menninger wrote in a letter to U.S. Magistrate Judge Deborah Freeman. How's that the case? How is it that what Annie gets civilly is going to affect what happens in the criminal case? Those crimes are committed, Ghislaine, all right? Those alleged crimes are committed already. You did it, according to these girls, and now you have to face the music. That's how it works. As far as the civil case goes, I don't care how much money Annie or any of the other girls get. If they're comfortable with their payout and they accept their payout, that's good enough for me. It's not my business as far as the money goes. I'm in the business of justice here. I'm in the business of these people being held to account. And part of that is paying out reparations for your crimes. Restitution. It's no different than any other criminal. These people truly believe they're above the law. They truly believe that they operate on a different playing field. But guess what? If my loved ones had to pay restitution, so do you. Farmer, 41, has publicly identified herself as minor victim 2 in Maxwell's criminal case and is certain to be called as a witness should Maxwell's case proceed to trial next summer. And I will be there 100%. 100%. In the courtroom if allowed, if not outside of the courtroom, wherever I possibly can be. And I'll let you know right now that I cannot wait for this trial to occur. I cannot wait for these girls to be sitting across the courtroom, video conference or otherwise, staring Maxwell down as Maxwell attempts to tell these lies. And I cannot wait to see Maxwell's face when Judge Allison Nathan drops the hammer on her. And Annie, once again, standing up tall here, standing up at the forefront, shoulders high, squared back. Something to see, folks. And it's something to be in awe of. And her family, I'm sure, is very proud of her. I know Maria is. And it's really refreshing to see people take the power back. People who have been abused, people who have been disenfranchised, to stand up to those who have abused them, to those with great power, and tell them directly to their face, F you. I am no longer scared of you. I am no longer a victim. And that is what Annie has done here, and Annie should be applauded. She shouldn't be derided. She shouldn't be called someone who's on a money grab. This is a champion of the downtrodden. This is a warrior standing up and battling great evil. She should be supported. And I know that you folks out there listening to this podcast are definitely in that camp. So Ghislaine Maxwell has a tough road to head if this is the strategy she's going to use. Maxwell is charged with facilitating and, in some cases, participating in Epstein's alleged sexual crimes against 3 minor girls, including Farmer, between 1994 and 1997. Maxwell pleaded not guilty to all the charges, and she has denied the allegations in Farmer's civil case. Epstein died in federal custody in August 2019 while awaiting trial on child sex trafficking charges. I like how James Hill here says he died in federal custody. He doesn't assert one way or the other how the death occurred. And I appreciate that, right? I think that that's the right way to do that. He died in federal custody. That's an open-ended statement. It doesn't make an assertion one way or the other. And it lets people decide what they think. Sigrid McCauley, an attorney for Farmer, responded swiftly in a letter to the court on Thursday, slamming Maxwell's letter as a vicious, victim-blaming attack on Farmer. Yeah, and look, Sigrid McCauley has been aces throughout this whole thing. She has treated these girls very fairly. She has treated them as if, the case matters to her. And at the end of the day, that's what you really want to see from a lawyer, as opposed to someone like Lisa Bloom or Gloria Allred. Sigrid seems to be in this for all the right reasons. Now, you guys know how I feel about lawyers in general for the most part, right? But it seems like Sigrid McCauley certainly has her heart in the right place here, and all of the girls that she represents seem to like her a lot. So I'm going to have to think that Sigrid is really doing a good job here, and she has been at the forefront, right, defending these girls. Miss Maxwell will not respond to Maxwell's meritless challenges to the merits of her case, to her credibility, or to her entirely appropriate participation in Maxwell's prosecution, McCauley wrote. Miss Farmer simply states that she stands by the allegations in her lawsuit and any statement she made in related proceedings, and she intends to testify truthfully if called in any future proceedings. And you know what, Annie? We're all behind you. We all understand the stakes. We all understand what's on the table here. And the people who think this is a money grab or say this is a money grab, you know, they could have their opinions, but we all know the score. And you have a lot of people behind you supporting you. And that's a fact. So all of the detractors out there that might be listening to the podcast, might be typing ferociously right now because you're so upset that I'm calling you a moron. If the shoe fits, wear it. But as for Annie and for the other survivors, what they're doing here is a big-time act of bravery, and it should be recognized as that. McCauley's letter also noted that Maxwell is not paying any portion of the proposed settlement offer from the Epstein Survivors Compensation Program. Exactly. So shut up. Worry about your own case. Worry about how you're going to pay Menninger. Worry about your husband, who is also your cousin from Boston. Worry about that. Not about what kind of payout Annie Farmer's getting or what kind of payout any of these girls are getting. Maxwell should be quite pleased that she is escaping civil liability in this case without having to pay a dime to Miss Farmer, McCauley wrote. 100%. And again, Sigrid McCauley just gets right to the heart of it, right? Cuts all the BS and shoots right to the heart of the matter. A similar dispute is currently playing out in a civil case brought against Maxwell by another likely witness in the criminal trial. That anonymous accuser, Jane Doe, accepted a settlement offer from the compensation fund earlier this month and has also moved to dismiss her case. Doe's allegations are substantially similar to those of minor victim 1 in the criminal case. So, again, we're not talking about one person here. We're not talking about gray area. We're talking about something that, in my opinion, is locked and loaded, and all we're waiting now for is a judge to sentence these people. The evidence is there, in my opinion, and I don't see how anyone can say any differently. But Maxwell is demanding that Doe, too, disclose the amount of her settlement before she consents to the dismissal of the lawsuit. And Maxwell has also requested that the court order Doe to pay Maxwell's legal fees and costs for defending herself in the lawsuit. Doe is seeking dismissal of her case, Maxwell's lawyers contend, for substantially the same reasons as Farmer, a desire to get her money faster, Menninger wrote. Faster? 24 years! What do you mean faster? These people live on a different planet, folks, okay? This is just BS. This is... I don't know what kind of strategy Menninger is using here, but it's not a winning strategy, like I've said earlier. And they want their money faster. You think after all of these years, you'd understand that. But I guess not. So, maybe I'll explain it to you a little bit better, okay? Your client, who was a co-conspirator of Jeffrey Epstein, was part of a criminal enterprise that trafficked and abused girls. Jeffrey Epstein got caught. Now he has to pay reparations for that. Okay? That's how this works. And there's nothing Ghislaine Maxwell or her legal team can do to stop it at this point. And it's not about the money. It's the point of the matter. Doe's attorney, Robert Glassman, told ABC News last week Maxwell is clearly trying to gain an unfair advantage over all of these survivors. She is inexplicably asking the judge to make a child rape victim pay for her attorney's fees and costs. It's unconscionable and it's sad, said Glassman, a trial lawyer at the California firm Panish, Shea & Boyle. It's obscene, in my opinion. Asking child rape victims to pay your legal fees after you're being sued by them? It leaves such a disgusting taste in my mouth that I can't even begin to explain it to you folks. The judge in Doe's case has given the parties until January 15th to try and reach an agreement to dismiss the case that is acceptable to both sides. Maxwell's lawyers are seeking a similar schedule in Farmer's case. I think what Sigrid McCauley should do at the next meeting, she should write on a piece of paper, you know how they do in the movies, like the amount that she's willing to say that Annie got, but instead of an amount, she should write on a piece of paper in gigantic letters, F you, and slide that over to Menninger, and that's how much Annie got, a whole bag of F you. That's how much. Are these people for real? But Farmer's attorneys are asking the court to step in now and put an end to the dispute and allow Farmer to receive her payment from the compensation fund. Miss Farmer has been trying to dismiss this case since October 14th, when she asked the defendants to stipulate to dismissal, McCauley wrote Thursday, and Maxwell has delayed for no legitimate reason without providing any deadline whatsoever for responding. Look, Maxwell is doing this because she wants to drag her feet. Maxwell is doing this because she doesn't want the criminal case to go forward without her having a few technicalities to try and hang her hat on. Well, I'm here to tell Maxwell, the 5 morons on Twitter that support her and run around trolling these survivors, and anyone else who thinks this is a money grab, that you are absolutely wrong. You really should be disgusted with yourself. And to think that this is about the money when it's obviously about holding people accountable, then you should give yourself a really good head shake. Because people like Maxwell and Epstein and all of these other people involved have gotten away with this for literally decades. And now that party is over. And now it's time to pay the piper. So that's what's going to happen. Back up the Brinks truck, dump it on these girls' lawns, and shut the hell up about it. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I hope you all enjoy your New Year's Day. A lot of football, hopefully a lot of food, hopefully some sitting around, and really I hope that you folks aren't too hungover. All right, everybody, I'll be back later on tonight for the Daily Drop, and we'll pick up where we left off.